Binding of Isaac open, but we can't play that. And by the way, we're live, so hello everybody. And this is the Q&A for Honorbound, Redemption of the New Guard. Chat is right here. We actually need to change something about it, but still we'll be seeing what you guys type. So feel free to type any questions, and we will answer whatever you want to hear. Okay, so Justin, what do we play here? What do we have? What games do you have on Steam?
Actually, I don't have Steam installed on my laptop.
Ah, too bad.
Like literally, the only thing I have installed on my laptop is Hearthstone.
I don't have Hearthstone. It's gonna be a problem. Oh, I know what to play. Have you? I guess you know chess.
Yeah.
Okay, wanna play some chess?
Sure.
Let's do it.
I'm gonna get destroyed.
Don't count on that. Don't count on my chess skills.
I don't know. Last time I played a Romanian at chess, it went really badly for me.
Have you've ever played a Romanian in chess? Oh, that's new.
Yeah, a lot of good Romanian players.
Never seen one. Never met one. Questions on this new system from Justin as a player, and Chuck as a DM. So, what's your impression of the new system then?
Well, okay, so I played first edition when I was 6, and I've played first, second, third, and fourth edition. It took a lot of things from fourth, like some of the rest rules are just modified fourth edition rules, the death saving throws. There's a lot of stuff from second in there. It's going to be an interesting hybrid. I know that was sort of the point, is to make it a hybrid system because they lost a lot of their old players when they introduced 4E, but they gained a lot of new players. So they're trying to like hybrid the two together so they can have the whole market. I'm really curious to see what the final rules are because I did the playtests, and they kept changing like massive things in the playtests. It kept going back and forth. So we'll see. Though I really hope it's a system that did something that 4E did, which is it forces the players to work together as a team, but in character. Like, in first edition, it was you against the world, but it was not your character against the world, it was how smart you were. In second edition, it was kind of your character. In third edition, it was kind of like the group. In fourth, it was more of that. Fourth went too far in that direction as a combat simulator. But it had a lot of really interesting ideas that I hope get carried over. I like the at-will encounter daily system.
Interesting. I love as well this fifth. I've done the playtest from the beginning. I've read all of them until they made them unavailable to the public, and it was very good. If you've read the last one, it's very many interesting things. Like they simplified a couple of stuff, but they've worked on some others. Like for example, the races are a lot simplified, but the classes are more in depth, and I like them very much. It has neat ideas. It took what good fourth had. Like fourth is not necessarily a great thing. It had its good things, but it's basically a combat simulator in my mind, at least. So it took what the best things were at fourth and some of the good things in 3.5, and then made a new, like this, as Justin just said, like a hybrid system, which is very good. I think it will replace 3.5 just because it's a new edition and it's good overall, and people will get into this new edition. Why? Because they've added the basic rules, and what the basic rules are is that they want to make everything published from now on in the Dungeons and Dragons system to be playable with the basic rules. So any module, anything, that's what they want to do. So make it playable with the basic rules. So basic is going to be everything published from now on. It's fifth. That's what it's saying. We'll see what happens. But for now, it looks to be on the good path. So what do you think? Do you will this Super 3.5, or have you even played 3.5?
I mean, I played 3.5. I played Pathfinder. But it's like Neil does a show where he plays second edition. 3.0 did not replace second edition. There's still people who play first edition. There's no edition that's going to replace any other edition because people play what they want to play. The question should always be whether or not the new edition is going to be more popular. People are going to switch over, like even temporarily. I think 5e will probably be pretty popular. People will definitely switch over.
Yep, I I agree with you. It's gonna be interesting to see where they go with this. Okay, I finally got this on stream. And play with friends. Okay, I'm gonna give you the link. This is this is the link. Cameo was down a bit, but it's okay. So play with friends. Let's put my name, and I'll give you a link that you need to join. God, how do I copy this? This is annoying. Weird. Can you look on the stream and copy this?
Yeah.
Okay, great. You should be able to see it. And chat, don't join here. You're not allowed. Okay, let's see what else is chat saying. By the way, until you like send a couple of messages, it's not gonna be showing up on stream because it's like from down onwards. Let's go on. The combat seems to be more brutal than 3-4v, more like 2v, so I think 3-4v fans won't like it because they can be as OP as they used to from Penguin for 421. So what do you think about this?
I mean, a lot of people didn't like 2e because the combat was more brutal, but I think right now it just seems brutal because we're at first level. Everything at first level is swingy. They never balance level 1 very well. I think it'll get less swingy as you level up and you have more tools to deal with things and you have more healing.
Have you managed to get inside of here?
No, I have not. I'm like looking at it. Wait. Let me see if I can... I think I got it.
Okay.
Am I white?
I'm waiting. Okay, another question. Did you expect the group would survive the first part?
I had my doubts like partway through, but for the most part I was pretty sure we would live.
Yeah, I knew what I was throwing at them. It was a if and if. The goblins had more chance to not hit, so basically that was mostly of what they did. They like imagine that their HP is not that big when you come down to it. So
Did you connect to the chest thing incidentally?
I'm Chucky, but I don't see you here. New game. Oh, white player connected. Oh, just now. That's me. Let me 1 second. Oh, I can copy it from here. Not this. Twitter. Where's Twitter? Great. Okay, I'm copying it right now. Just enter that. I wasn't sure if they would survive it. Wait.
Yep.
Okay, let's go next. Do you think it has the pull to dislodge Pathfinder players, considering that they have 10 new classes coming in and are still being actively developed?
Well, again, a lot of people like to start over with a new system or like to get in the ground floor of a system where they can understand it before the bloat sets in. And a lot of people feel like systems get bloated over time because new stuff comes out. So it's just going to depend on people. I do think it's going to cause people to play slightly less Pathfinder. They're going to try out 5e at least. Although in that same vein, I know the Player's Handbook and the DMG and the Monster Manual are all pretty expensive.
Yeah, that's it isn't available like for most people. Like for example, in Romania, you have like a couple of shops that can buy it in, and it's not necessarily the best way to attract your players to the game. Well, we aren't into this type of stuff as well. Like the Romanian people are kind of like more stuck up than anybody else on these like traditionalists, to put it like that. And yes, I haven't played, to answer your question, Iron Core, I haven't played Pathfinder a lot, so... Oh, just the camera is mispointed. Sorry about that. Yeah. So I haven't played Pathfinder a lot to know how Pathfinder players are. I have played it a bit. There was a show that we did one time, but our DM kind of... something bad happened, and... like, not to him, but... the group just melted. And... I don't know about Pathfinder. I think Pathfinder is slightly more balanced, like it's than 3.5, but I always love 3.5 more because I've been DMing it for a long time, and I like that. I just feel more comfortable with it because like in 3.5, I feel like I have more content to work with, even if it's kind of a, how do you put it? Even if it's not the best content sometimes, like for example the Roads of Madness, that is a book that should be burned. I am I am confident that 3.5 is still like a very viable edition, and I don't think Pathfinder will necessarily be dislodged by 5th. So what's next? Hardest part of DMing and favorite part as well, especially for experienced question players like Neil. So I think you're more of a veteran for me. So what's your hardest part of DMing and your favorite part as well?
The hardest part of DMing is just the time commitment. It takes a long time to think up adventures, especially if you don't want to put anything on rails. You want to drop people into a world and have them be able to go in any direction and hit something different than they would have. I think like one of my favorite things I ever did was they were going through a countryside. It was like half a continent. There's mountains, and like literally every 100 miles or so had a different plot line that they could possibly encounter. They may or may not encounter it. It was like a random thing, but I had detailed like write-ups for everything. It's like 300 or 400 pages of just like notes, encounters, and on and on and on. Uh,
Go on.
and this is the time commitment is the hardest part of DMing. Like really thinking about the characters, thinking about the story, building a world, trying to make it interesting, anticipating what your characters are going to do, rolling with it when they don't, seeing all your work go down the drain, figuring out how you can use it later. The most rewarding part of DMing, though, is when it all works out, and all that time was not spent for naught, and the players really get a good kick out of it. It's really interesting to see players like develop their characters and have opportunities to develop their characters they didn't even think about.
Well, I'm not necessarily as experienced as they are. I have my experience, and we're growing. We're going into it. I think my favorite part is just like the first few weeks of it, when they kind of figure out what like the big plot is, and they need to decide what's gonna happen, and they kind of see the whole picture. I like that point where everybody is, oh shit, this is happening, and oh, there are plot twists that are gonna happen, or maybe not, depends on the story and the prayers. But I just love the first few weeks of a campaign, firstly because it's like you meet the people, and D&D is a social game, so you get to meet people and doing whatever you like with them, role playing with them, and it's a very nice way of seeing and understanding others better than just like, I'd say, other ways of doing it, like getting drunk with them, which is another viable way, but I just enjoy this better. And my hardest part is planning. Yeah, I am a planner. I write like 8 pages at least when it comes to like 4 or 5 weeks of a campaign, because I don't like to plan anything out like exactly what if they do this, this happens. If they do this, this happens. I kind of have a point for everything, because I have had my share of very crazy players, and I just prefer to have something always, and like an ace in my sleeve that I can use. Anyway, going on. How long have I been DMing? I've been DMing, like streaming, for about a year, and I've been, I don't know, on DMing on and off, because it's like only like groups with my friends and such, for about almost 2 years and a half now, something close to that. I haven't really kept track of it. It isn't 40, 50 years that these guys have behind them, but I'm trying my best, and the important thing is not how long the game is. You guys and we should enjoy the game, and having fun is the most important part of it. Even if you don't have a shitload of experience behind you, can still have a good game. Alright. But that's my opinion, at least. Let's see next. What do we have next? What I've seen, Pathfinder is basically 3.5, but no, with more cool powers for everyone. Don't know my style work. That's not a question. Can you use a shield with fighter slash dueling style? I think so. I think you can use a shield. I think one of the characters actually had a shield. One of the fighters, if I remember correctly. Let's look for these, because I know there were two fighters, weren't there? In the character sheets. Do you know anything about shields in this game? And in 5th?
I think you can use them, but you can't like attack with them if you don't have the shield fighter.
The shield bash,
thing?
I think it's called, but
Yeah.
I think that's one of the feats that will come in later, like with the PHB.
Yeah. I'm hesitant to answer because I know some of the answers from the playtest, but I don't know what the answers at release are going to be.
Yeah, it's like don't necessarily count on what we're saying right now. It's like when the PHB is coming out, we can tell you that for sure. But most likely it's gonna be a shield bash. Let's see. When are you going to send the party to the Tomb of Horrors? I can't wait to send the party to Tomb of Horrors. I've DM'd that thing so many times. The Orb of Destruction is the best thing ever. But still, well, we'll see when we send them to that cave. Have patience, have patience. Awesome stuff comes to those who wait. Let's see our next thing. I don't think I see any more questions here. It's because of repairing. I have spent a lot of days building characters for fun. Yes, I have done that actually. As like I've done that, just creating characters. Character creation is very fun. Like I hate people who say, "Oh, I need to create character. It's like, I wanna play." No, character creation is best. It's the best part of it. It's I love that part. What do you think about character creation, Justin?
I don't know. I really like the when 4E had the character builder. That was just it was a really good character builder. It included all the rules. I love just making characters. I used to do that for 2nd edition, I think it was, with the pen and paper, and it wasn't as much fun because it took so much longer. So yeah, I really like the idea of making characters, but then I want to make up backstories for them, and then I'm sad that I don't get to play them in a campaign. So at some point I just stopped doing that.
They have a portfolio of things. Like, guys, you need to create a character. Done. Done. What do you want? I have everything. And to your question, the Kroner. Best D&D edition to start with. I would say 5th. Why? Because they added in this basic rules, and it's making it very simple. It's like this starter set, it simplifies it. It has like the basic rules you need to, so you can start with 5th even if you're a noob and like at D&D or DMing D&D. It's a lot easier than the others, I think. Like 3.5 is a lot of shady rules. 2nd edition, I know that Neo always complains about the intentionally misleading rules as well. And I don't think you need to start with. I don't think we need to talk about first the basic D&D.
No one should start with 1st edition.
Never.
Unless you had to, because that's how old you were. Just don't.
Yeah. So what do you think about? What's your best D&D edition?
Best? I don't know about best.
Not best, but which one have you enjoyed most? To put it like that.
See, my answer is going to be pretty controversial because I actually enjoyed 4E the most because there's always imbalance in any game. There's stuff that's more or less powerful. But in terms of D&D, the most balanced edition was 4E, and I never had a problem that a lot of people had, which was not enough role-playing, because I don't need rules to role-play after like years and years and years of just making shit up. I can just role-play, and it doesn't matter if there's rules for it or not. I can make something work. But I think 3.5 and 3 like had more traits and more backgrounds, and it was easier for people to role-play within the rules. It gave them more inspiration. So I like 4E a lot just because it's balanced, and the role-playing side, it doesn't matter what edition I'm playing, I can like just do it really easily. Especially and I played other systems. I played Vampire, I played GURPS. I played a lot of role-playing games. It's just something you get used to doing.
Yeah, all the role-playing systems like give you role-playing situations because if you take them, like it does not necessarily need to be given in game. Like if you roleplay here, you get a bonus, or if you roleplay in general, you get something. It doesn't necessarily need to give you anything. You can just do it, even in combat. You can even do it in combat. I didn't necessarily enjoy fourth just because of how much I loved 3.5, and I thought it was just too big of a break from it, and it wasn't going to the right side, like the right path for Dungeons and Dragons, in my opinion at least. Like I know there were a lot of people who enjoyed it, and they have released a lot of content for that, and they're still releasing content for fourth. The people who like it, I have nothing against them, but it's like your preference, whatever you like. Interesting move. Well, one-on-one. Okay, let's see what's going on. So, is it more or less expensive since I'm new? I think I have an edition 1 or 2 of Old School in my basement somewhere. Well, if you wanna start with 5th now, it's not that expensive. Like for me, it was like 15 euros in Romania. That's like all of our D&D stuff are expensive. The starter set is pretty, like its basic price is not that much, so you could start with that, and like in August you can buy your PHB and continue with the 5th, or if you don't like that, you can just go into another edition. But it depends, like your question depends on how you want to go about like what edition you want to play and so on. What is your opinion between a DM planning everything out and one more embracing the madness and making almost everything on the fly? Well, Justin, you first answer that. Give me your opinion after.
I like to plan things out, but the reality is that if you have good players like Neil and Ryan and Rob, who's on the one-shots, the one-shots that I did, they are going to throw things at you that you didn't expect, and you have to improvise. So every DM should learn to improvise, but the planning gives you sort of an idea for how your world works, because when you're operating in a universe where reality is not necessarily what you're used to on a day-to-day basis, and you can change small things, and you have like political alliances, if you really want to get into the details of your world, it helps to plan things just to know how your world works. And then you should always be able to improvise. Someone who does no planning at all and improvises everything, I've met DMs who do that. Some of them are quite good. None of them are as good as people who have some sort of prep, even if they don't end up using the prep because the characters do something else.
I don't know what I could add to what Justin just said. It's a great it's a great point. It's basically it's a little bit of preparement goes a long way. Either if you don't necessarily use it, but as you prepare, you kind of think about all the possibilities of where this goes, how this will happen, and so on. So yeah, planning is good, but excessively it's not that helpful, and it's very time consuming. Let's see. Are you going to run an adventure completely vanilla? What do you mean vanilla? Custom made? Yes, we are gonna run after we finish playing around with this starter set, and by that I mean when I kill them when the PHB comes out. That's when we're gonna finish with this adventure. Just when the PHB comes out, that's when the TPK is gonna happen. Spoilers. I'm joking. We'll see what happens, but still, that's basically the time limit of this starter set, and then we're just going to jump into the World of Sorum and the Age of Heroes, and then create Honorbound, Invention of the New Guard, and give the name an actual meaning. Let's see what's happening here. What you're trying to do. What's your plan? Okay, so yeah, just like feel free to ask us anything you want, chat, and when I see the question, we will answer. Until then, I'm gonna beat him at chess. This is tense. What is the most unbalanced system you've used?
That's an interesting question, actually. I mean, pretty much all systems have some sort of thing where you can become the destroyer of worlds and be immortal and invincible. So it's kind of hard to say. I mean, at what point does infinitely broken become the most unbalanced when you're comparing it to other things that are infinitely broken?
I think where more options come in, like where we have more options to become broken than others.
Oh yeah, but is that like, so it's the number of infinitely broken things
I
makes the
think
most
so.
unbalanced system?
I think so. If I had to answer that, I would say like potentially either 3.5 on like certain stuff, or like if you include system, like if you include psionics and the World of Madness, it kind of gets out of hand very easily. But like the most unbalanced systems, like one of the most unbalanced systems is actually Dark Heresy, like the Warhammer systems. If you know those systems good, and I've seen players who know, and I've DM'd that, you like whatever you do as a DM, you can't kill them. Like for example, there's a trait that gives you like accurate, and you can install on your weapon, like on your normal weapon that you can get like from the beginning of the game, a sight, a laser pointer, and something else. You get a bonus of about 40 to it with your aiming, which is another 10. That's 50. So that's like a shit ton of ballistic skill, which is the one that you use with this, let's say basic start 30, so you have like a 20% chance to miss. And with an accurate skill, for every 20 points you score above to hit, you get another 1d 10 points of damage. So like you can easily break this, very easily break the system there. Like you really have to have a group that understands that and plays with the DM as well. Like that's, I would say Dark Heresy is one of the most unbalanced system that I've seen. Okay, any major problems we found in 5e? Well, I haven't played extremely much of it, so I wouldn't know what to tell you yet.
I've only played the playtest. I mean, technically I played today and I played the playtest, so it's hard to say if there's any major problems in 5e yet. I wouldn't think there's anything major since there's not enough content bloat to really establish like overpowered things.
Agree. I think we'll see about it. Like for the moment, I don't think I have any problem with it. Maybe the second win thing, I think it's a bit too much, but we'll see how that plays out. What modifications will you want to create the most balanced system? No, that's a big question. So I'm gonna repeat it. What modifications would you want to make to create the most balanced system? I think that depends, like question from system to system. Like you have like every system has its own things that need to be fixing or need more working on. So I mean, do you have a better answer than this?
I think it depends on what you're trying to do. Like if you're trying to make a combat simulator and you're just getting together to like kill things, then the thing that makes the combat inconvenient but not impossible, best modification. If you're trying to RP if you're trying to like build a world and RP and create characters, then you're telling a story, and the modifications. Oh, he meant specifically for 5e. I wouldn't change 5e at all right now. You never change a system until you know what you're doing with it. It's there's an analogy I always like to use, which is mechanics. you should drive the car first and then learn how engines work before you start messing around with the engine.
Agreed. Agreed. Um, one question: how do you feel about house rules and tweaks? Some DMs hate the idea, while the others have no issues changing the system to suit their preference. I do house tweaks, house rules and tweaks, but as I said before, like I wouldn't do it in 5e now because we're still in the testing phase until the PHB comes in, and we haven't played for a month or so. I won't make any tweaks or changes, and I might not make it at all. Depends on how it goes. But in 3.5, for example, I have a couple of house rules. Like for example, I integrate facing in the game. Like I hate the fact that there's no facing in the game. Like it's Prepper just hasn't integrated facing, and it's weird because it has some stuff that kind of require facing. But still, like I agree with house tweaks and rules, but you need to know what you're doing before you do anything to it. So what do you think about this, Justin?
I like house rules when I've been playing with the system for a while and I identify things that I personally think are problems with it. At least they might be problems with it just because of the way I DM, or they might be problems with it because of the way my group is playing. But I always like to make a really clear distinction when I make up a house rule that I understand what the other rule was, because sometimes you'll go to a game and you'll be playing with people who aren't playing by the rules and they think it is the rules, but what they don't realize is that their DM had been house ruling it from the beginning and never told them. I mean, it's a game. You really, this is how I am about games in general, you really need to know the actual rules before you start messing with them. So if you make a house rule that makes the game more fun for you, that's fine. Just know what the actual is, so if you ever play the game with other people, you remember that it was a house rule.
Yeah, I agree completely. I have my share of mistakes on that one, and I have paid dearly for them. Uh, on the Day of the Stone, we had a couple of house rules mistakes that we tried to implement. It didn't work out very much, but I think the most important thing is have an understanding group and like interact with them good, because like there needs to be a bond and a trust between player and GM, that you can just discuss this stuff and figure out what's best for your game. And I do agree, understanding your group better, but just never think that you are completely right, because usually the stuff you're most sure about is the stuff you're wrong about. So just always keep an open mind. That's my best opinion about that. Okay, you moved. Did you move or is it me? Oh, it's me. Why did you leave me to take your madman like that?
I don't know. Why did I do that?
Interesting. Let's see how this plays out. Okay, let's continue on. And it's magic and DMing, gotta explain nothing. No, I don't agree with that one, Josie. DM is not always... I mean, it says like DM is always right, but I don't agree with that. I feel like if you impose the like DM is always right thingy, then you kind of create a hostility between player and GM. Like I agree there's some points where, like for example, you are not sure about the role, but you don't stay more than max of 15 minutes to check it out. Like I'll never say stay more than 15 minutes to check something out or debate something. Never. Because it blocks up the game and then everybody gets bored until you kind of check that out. So sometimes you have to play that card. It's like, okay, I'm the DM, I'm saying this goes, and we can discuss it after. Like that's a good approach to it, but never use the like DM is like it's magic. It's I'm the DM, I'm right. Too much.
I agree. Nothing to add to that.
Does anybody know what happened to Eben Vigil? I don't know what happened to Eben or Vigil. I don't know. Maybe is. I haven't been following it for a long time, unfortunately. But I think Jeff was gone. It wasn't Jeff. Oh no, Jeff wasn't. Jeff isn't in that group. Yeah, I don't think it's cancelled anyway. I think you guys would have known if it was cancelled. Whew. This is nice, relaxing after so much DMing. Actually, gonna put some music in the background for you guys. That's what we put up. Okay, I'm gonna put up the Divinity 1, like Divine Divinity and Divinity 2 soundtracks. And I think that includes some like the Dragon Knight and Original Sin in them. You guys should know them. It's very good music. So, tell me if it's a bit too loud, and I'll turn it down. But it shouldn't be. Favorite race for all of the D&D editions overall?
Dragonborn.
Kender. I just love Kenders.
What the fuck is with you and your Kenders?
I love the Dragonlance, I do Dragonlance Saga, and I love Kenders. I just love Kenders. I don't know why, I love the underdogs. I have something for the underdogs. I've played one in one of the summon sets. Yeah, it is the underdog race. Okay, do you use miniatures and maps? Live D&D, yes. I actually have a shit ton of miniatures I can show you. Let's see if you guys can see this. This is the castle. No, this is Castle Ravenloft or something like that. No, it's a Shardon. This is like 4E box, but like I have a lot of miniatures in here that are from different editions. Let me see if I can throw the camera. So like there are a lot of them in there, and I have these are just the ones that I'm using this week with a couple of friends. I have a couple stashed away. And this is my favorite one actually. It's actually from a Shardon. This is one of the Red Dragon. This is the 4E board game, and I love this guy. It's just very finely crafted. So do you use miniatures and maps?
I actually prefer to use miniatures and maps, especially when I'm DMing live. I've had games online where I used map tools, and it takes a little while to get used to it, but once you do, it's actually a lot of fun to be able to like see everything. I think it's one of the hardest things is as a DM actually is communicating exactly what the environment looks like, exactly where everyone is, and minis and maps just make that so much easier.
Agreed. And I think using minis and maps and using tokens in Roll20, for example, is a lot different, like very different from one another. Why I say that? It's because I have tried Roll20 maps and everything, but it just doesn't work well. Because people just like move them around, and then you have a trap. Like you have a trap at the entrance to the cave, and somebody says, "Okay, I go into the cave," and they just go past the cave and say, "No, go back." And kind of chaos ensues because everybody has control of them. So like you need to have a tight hand to run Roll20 one with everything. But I don't necessarily enjoy doing that too much. So I'd say like I more enjoy doing live games with that. And that's about it with the miniatures and maps. What else do we have? Question. Have you had a chance to check out the pre-made modules in Roll20? If so, and if so, do you think is it good to start DMing or just a time save for existing games? Modules? Are you talking about the pre-made character sheets? Because if you're talking about the pre-made character sheets, those are actually very good. But I don't know what modules. Oh yeah, there are a couple of modules. The Crow's Nest, I remember that. No, I haven't tried them. To be honest, I have never tried them. Maybe I'll try them sometimes. But yes, Penguin, you don't need to give them control of the tokens, but then it's a lot of things to do because you need to have a lot of things open as a DM, and then like moving everybody as well in the map. Just takes a lot of time that I think your imagination can do a lot better job with it. That's my opinion at least.
I think we missed a question. What's your opinion of min-maxers?
Oh, we have missed that. Uh, mm, I mean, do whatever you want if you feel that's good, but do it because you enjoy it. Don't do it because you want to break the game or you want to be the most powerful thing in the game. If you enjoy to be a 20 strength minotaur that can whiff stuff, do that if you like it, but don't do it if you just want to be able to carry a lot of loot and just say I break the system. Yay, I'm carrying a house on my back.
I don't know. I've always had mixed opinions of min-maxers because it's not, in my experience, it's not the min-maxing that people object to. It's the personality of the people doing it and the way they decide to play the game. Like they'll do something because they think it's a good idea. They won't do it because it's in character. But they're on the other side of the token. They're great RPers who really try and get the most out of the system, get the most out of their characters. And they make up very powerful characters, but the way they play them is constrained and it's fun for everyone. The point of the game is it's a group game. You're trying to tell a group story. Everyone should be having fun. If your character is brokenly powerful, you don't necessarily even have to play him that way. So for me, it always comes down to the personality of the people I was playing with and not necessarily to the system being an issue.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. That's like the subtext of my answer as well. Okay, so not related to D&D, but are you planning to move away from Romania, or are you going to change the system from within? Well, I'm still studying. I do work as well as a translator because I have my license, which is nice because I get a lot of work with my level of English here. Well, very few people have this level of English here, and it's an advantage here, of course. Not the rest of Europe, it's not that much of an advantage, but here it is. So on that side, I'm not completely sure, but I am going to be leaving Romania for higher studies. Well, I won't be stopping like this, the streams and everything. It's just going to be able to adapt, but I do want to move away from Romania. The society itself is not a society that I like. People do not read. 8% of our population does not know how to read or write, and it's the society itself. You can see it if you live here. Like if you come here and visit, it's all very nice and beautiful and everything. Yeah, that's the first opinion you have, because it is a beautiful country. Too bad it's populated. That's what an American governor said when he visited Romania. It's a beautiful country. Too bad it's populated.
It's okay. I feel the same way when I lived in the American South.
Okay, so what else? I think that's it for now. So concentrate on chess game until
one of us loses.
Yeah, until one of us loses, and then we see what we do. Interesting. Whatever shall I do?
Really?
Really? You didn't see this coming, did you?
Oh no, I forgot your bishop was there.
Yeah, I was waiting with that bishop for a long time. Gypsies are a big problem as well, yes. Again, we had this discussion like about racism on news chat a bit, but it's really dependent on, you need to understand the population to realize how racism works. The problem is with our kind of like racism against gypsies is they kind of ask for it. Why? Because they move themselves from society. They live with a shatra, that's what they call it. Like they just erect buildings and houses where they have no authorization to do so. So just in somebody's backyard or on a field or something like that. And they do not want to be integrated in society. They make their own society. They move away from Romanian society. And so how can you integrate somebody that doesn't want to be integrated in society? That's our problem. Like, people just say that we are racist towards them, but it's not necessarily true. Like, I have never been racist to a gypsy that I have not seen behave very badly, but they do behave very badly. Like, you see them just spitting on people on the street, just like doing whatever the fuck they want, and they don't really care about it. And well, they do suffer for it a lot, but I mean, there have been gypsies that they have free fucking what do you call it, places in college here in Romania, like free places. You don't need to do anything but just be a gypsy. If you want to go there, you can get in, and that's racism on the other side. And don't necessarily go into like gypsy culture. Gypsy culture is good. It's a rich culture. It's a beautiful culture, but it's their way of living, and that because the gypsies originally were not this type of people, and they look like the original gypsies have nothing to do with how gypsies behave now, and like, don't attack a whole civilization for like parts of it, which is bad. So always, I mean, my opinion is always try and hope for the best in people and get disappointed than just be cynical about everything. Have you had any problems with racism of this kind, or you have been living, Justin?
No, I mean, they're not really gypsies in the U.S. The U.S. has problems with racism, but not so much in California. I used to live in the South, and there was a huge problem with black people and racism. It was pretty ubiquitous, actually. I didn't go outside a whole lot when I lived there.
Oh,
it wasn't fun.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I have friends that live in which will live like in a flat near this one of the chartreuse, and the flat has barbed wire fences of about 2 meters high, with codes in, like, you need a code to get in, another key to get inside of the actual flat, and it's been teared down like a couple of times. It's just not nice to see something like that happening. Yeah, not nice and not fair, but things are what they are sometimes. Okay, so D&D questions, guys. If you have any more D&D questions, we are happy to answer them from you. How much time do you have left, like, Justin, to hang around?
I have to go dancing at 7:30, but I don't have anything till then.
I have no idea when 7:30 is in your time.
Oh, it's 5 o'clock right now.
So maybe like if people don't have may finish this chess game, and we'll see what we do for about like 1 hour max, and we'll finish somewhere around there.
Sure.
Okay, great. Interesting. So it's my turn, huh?
This is a really ugly game, just for the record.
This is a really ugly game. We've been too offensive. But you lost those 2 bishops. You shouldn't have lost those 2 bishops.
I shouldn't have lost my queen. The bishops were intentional.
Seriously, both of them?
Yeah.
Let's see. Don't exchange? Two ox.
Can't afford to trade down.
1 second. So, the question: do you believe in DM hacking? Yes. Every DM hacks. But not like I don't DM hack in combat, for example. Like I never DM in combat. I never DM hack in combat because one, you have like a character's life in the line, and I don't wanna mess with that. That I don't mess with. But DM hacking sometimes when it really makes sense, and because in the end you're the arbiter, you're responsible. You need just to keep in mind your responsibility is for everybody to have fun. So if you think it's best, you might DM hack some situations. Like, do you have a DM hack, Justin?
Honestly, that's one of the things I've always tried never to do. The real world is kind of statistical in nature. Like, stuff happens, you might get lucky. You might get lucky to get discovered by someone, or whatever. It's really the same thing in D&D, except it's controlled by the dice instead of by whatever mechanism it is in real life that controls random chance. I like the idea that there's a series of possible outcomes for every action, and then I roll the die, and that's the outcome you get. I will mention that I have really, really nice game science dice. So they're really random, and I prefer to use a dice tower, like just to make sure that, just to make sure that it's actually random, and I'm not like unduly influencing the outcome in any way.
There's a Kickstarter project on like a set of like, I think aluminium, like machine-made exact dice that if you roll on a flat surface are always gonna be random, which is interesting, but they're very expensive if you're going to.
Well, yeah, because you can buy D6s that are laser cut, because most casinos buy them for craps and stuff, but you can't do it for other dice yet. So game science is the best you can get.
You can. They have done it.
They have?
Yeah.
Awesome.
There's a Kickstarter project on it. The guy that invented the D6 thing.
I will look into that.
And he created it. I don't know if it's open anymore, but if you look in gaming or something like that, you should find the like sets of dice. How do you deal with? Do you allow regular races to be played in games like trucks? I don't know what the trucks is. It doesn't come to mind. But irregular races, yes, I do allow regular races. Depends what game. Again, like if I want to go for a feel, or this is like a feel of the game, or maybe this is like a full human game, or it depends. It really depends on from game to game. Why did you start DMing? Example, or you did not want to be just a player anymore? Justin, you can answer that first.
I first started DMing when I was 8, I think. So I was trying to get some of my friends into D&D, and if you want to get people into playing D&D, you pretty much have to be the DM. It's just the way it works. I actually didn't like it at first. I don't think I enjoyed DMing until I was like 12 or 13, so almost 5 years of doing it off and on. But I just wanted to play more D&D, so I had to, and you need a DM. That's why I started DMing.
Agreed. That's why I started as well, with very few people that play D&D in Romania, and even fewer DMs. So I started D&D, and I learned it. I read the books, I watched VODs, I watched videos, and I learned how to do it. I started with Roll20 groups. I even had some live groups, and I still have a couple of live groups with very good friends, on and off, but still. And I actually like a lot DMing. I just like DMing because I am a storyteller in nature. That's like I enjoy telling stories. Like a little known fact is like for about a year and a half now, me and 2 of my closest friends have been working on creating a fantasy world, and we do have like about close to 100 pages written down of the lore of the world only, and characters made out, events, the chronological timeline, and so on. So it's like I enjoy creating stuff, and I enjoy sharing them with people.
I think you missed a question from Cloner.
Look at that. How's the best deal? Oh, yeah, I did miss that. How to best deal with difficult personalities and DM groups, especially with long-time friends. You need, in my opinion at least, put down some big rules. Like, we are here to have fun. We are here to enjoy ourselves. This is not about winning. This is not about losing. This is just about having fun and a good time. So my opinion is just that's how you deal with them. Exactly like that. You tell them how it's gonna go and how it's gonna be, and they need to understand it. If they don't, if they're really against it, then they just kick them from the game. It's not worth losing your whole game group over one friend if that friend is completely obnoxious and is too stubborn to understand that sometimes he needs to give in order to receive. What do you think about this, Justin?
I mean, I think I've seen a lot of people do it, punish people for poor behavior in game, like keep killing their characters until they act correctly, and a lot of people end up as min-maxers because of that, actually, because they just don't want to die anymore. Which is kind of funny. But it's really a question of social engineering. Everyone's there to have fun. The thing to do is explain why you're not having fun to that person. And if it's just you, maybe it's one thing, but if it's like the whole group's not having fun because of what they're doing, you explain that you're just not having fun because of this one thing. Could they please stop? And yeah. I had a DM once who printed out a banner and hung it on the wall. It says, "We're all here to have fun," and someone did something that wasn't fun, he would point to the banner.
Oh, that's good. That's a good thing. Yeah, sorry, Chrono. What do we have here? How do you guys feel about the healing system? I guess you're asking in fifth, so it's good. It's okay. I think its fifth is a lot more lethal than the other systems. So I think the kind of healing system kind of balances out. I mean, you've seen it today. You've seen the group going through all of that. All of the goblins, all of the bugbears, they've survived it very closely, but they've survived it and they used all their heals or everything they could have used. So I think it's okay for now. Like, I don't have anything against it. What do you think about the healing system?
I don't have anything to add to that, honestly. The healing system is pretty good. It's always hard to tell. I mentioned this earlier. It's always hard to tell at first level if a system's balanced or not, because D&D is just never balanced at first level. They expect the stats to grow at a certain rate, and for some reason they can just never balance it at first level. The most unbalanced levels in any edition of D&D are always level 1 and level 30.
Yep, I agree with that.
But it seems fine so far.
So, do you guys feel? Question: have you played any RPG with flexible magic systems like Mage the Ascension? I have not played. I don't know what you mean by flexible magic systems, but I have not played Mage the Ascension. Do you have an answer for this question?
I'm not sure what he means by flexible. I've played Mage the Ascension, but it didn't strike me as particularly more flexible than any other system.
Interesting. Going for my king, are you? We need to do something about that. Okay, let's see. Pathfinder trucks. I mean, I'll open it for a bit. Yeah, as I said, I allow weird races in my games. Again, depends on the game itself. How would you capture work with? How would a capture work without healing system? Could a capture creature get full health in a day while being captured? No, necessarily, because it actually says that you need to spend the time non-stressful ways, relaxing, reading, or doing so. So if you are chained and beaten and questioned and tortured, I don't think that counts as being resting. So it depends. It really depends how you go about it. Like, for example, Pseudo Hard Winter he was basically beaten by the goblins on and off, on and off, on and off, because they had the playmate. They had fun with him. The goblin, their leader, told them like, you do whatever you want to him, and the party was just happy that there wasn't like there wasn't any killing yet done. It was gross. Um, I forgot his name again. Say them.
Fenwick.
Fenwick. Flexible meaning there was no specific spell list.